Hi, Richard.
Hi, Richard.
I know some people don't know me. It's okay. I'm really. I feel like a little like shy because you guys make me like Danny talks about me like I'm. And I started entry level. I just want you guys to know I started entry level. It took me 18 months to get to management. It also took me the first 8 months to build my first leader on my team. So not that it should take you that long, but if it does, you still make it. You know what I mean? And I run my office in Dallas, Fort Worth. Anybody been to Dallas? Who's been to Dallas?
Woo!
The airport.
Oh, wow.
Dallas is so
Ain't never
fun.
been there.
I'm originally from Spain. Anybody been to Spain? Madrid, Barcelona?
That's my team,
Where you at?
Madrid.
Barcelona? You like it? Do you go party or was it more like touristic? Or both?
I was a child.
You were a child, baby. You been, Zach?
Yeah.
How old were you?
16.
Little bird.
Ooh.
Was it fun? That was very fun. 16 is like, it's like being 22 here, so.
Yeah.
That's cool. Anybody else has been? You been? What part?
Valencia.
Valencia. What were you doing there?
Just went out and celebrated.
How old are you now?
18. I went last year.
You went last year. Celebrate what?
Yeah.
Life.
Cool. What about you?
I bet. I forgot what the name of it. It's the one where the nuns give you cookies in Barcelona. Like the one like where the door in church.
Barcelona. You went to
Thank you.
Barcelona.
Yes, that's where I went.
Barcelona.
Cool. So I'm from there. I'm from
So is
Spain.
your-
Madrid.
Is your favorite team Madrid?
What's that?
Real Madrid, is that your favorite team?
Real Madrid is my favorite team.
I was about to say it.
We like to win.
Yeah.
So is that okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was there. I came to the U.S. in 2016 in November. I have a degree in advertising. So I got my 4-year job hunting license in Madrid. My degree was advertising and PR. And I call it a job hunting license because who here's been to college? Okay. Did it guarantee you a job or something?
No.
So if you don't get a job, can you like get your money back from the loans?
No.
Is that funny?
It's a scam.
But then then people call this a scam. And after I saw Alexis pay 12 grand in credit card debt after being in the office for 8 months. But this is a scam for sure. But then school, you go and then you're a doctor. You want to be a doctor. How many people you know that have been to medical school and want to be a doctor? Anybody know somebody? How many? Raise your hand if that person that you're thinking about made it.
My mom, yeah, she did it.
A couple people, right? You see how like 8 hands went down? People go for $300,000 to $400,000 in debt, and then they realize actually, oh man, I've been here for 6 years. I'm going to do residency, and then they don't like the actual job because a lot of times, like what you're studying for, then you actually do the job, and it's not what you thought. Has anybody had that experience? That happened to you probably here. Like, oh, I thought I was going to be marketing, whatever, and then you're like, yeah, you actually have to do sales for the client, the most raw way that sales are done, which is knocking on doors. It's not what you thought. Definitely not what I thought either. I remember looking into jobs. I actually studied business administration 1 year because I just liked the name of the degree. Anybody pick their career future choice because of the name? That's how stupid I was. I'm glad that you guys can relate. I picked business administration. What's in Spain, the name of the degree is different. It sounds a little more like Gruji. It's Administración y Dirección de Empresas, which is administration and managing companies. Would you study that? I would have studied that. Then I got to actually do the degree, and I realized that it sucked. And I was like, wow, so I wasted a year. Then I went and did advertising because I actually looked at the subjects of what am I going to actually have to study. And when I looked at the subject, I'm like, okay, I do like about 50% of these subjects. So then I did it. Anybody relate to that? Now I feel like it's a job hunting license because I got my diploma on the wall. Nobody's ever asked for it on an interview. You know, I went to an interview when I first got to the US. I'm like, well, I got my diploma. I'm from Spain. You know, I'm bilingual. Like, what you want? You know, like, hey, I can speak English, Spanish. I look white. Like, I'm gonna win, right? And then the companies would ask me, do you have a degree? I'm like, yeah. But then they wouldn't ask for the degree. Like I was like, yeah, I got it. Like I brought my diploma like on my folder, and they're like, oh cool. But they like well, what if I lied? I mean, like, did I just go to college for 4 years just so I could come to the interview, say yes, but they wouldn't let me prove it, you know what I mean? I was like, what if I lied? And I started realizing, like, does it actually matter that I have a degree? And then 10 years later, I graduated in 2016, right? So, I mean, it's not been 10 years, it's been 6. And then I realized, like, I studied advertising. Like, do you think advertising in 2015 was different than now?
Yes.
Yes, bro, we were studying radio ads. How many of you, like, came here listening to the radio this morning? One person. Yeah. You're from the 90s, right? You gotta be from the 90s like me. One person, right? Like, but people don't listen to the radio. I was doing TV ads. People don't watch TV that much. I went to the hotel yesterday to see if I could watch the game. And it's like DirecTV here with like all these channels. I'm like, what is this? Like Netflix. I want Netflix, right? Or Amazon Prime or whatever. And I want, you know, like not everything, my point is not everything seems, not everything is what it seems to be, right? My wife also has a degree and she doesn't use it. My mom graduated for a degree in tourism and she works for Nintendo. Makes no sense. 80% of people actually work at something that's not in their degree. The degree, the majority of the times, you know what I do like about degrees is like, hey, can somebody actually start it and finish it? It means you have at least commitment for 4 years or for 5 years. But I think it's kind of weird. Like one of my best friends in Spain wanted to be an architect because his dad was an architect. And then he dropped off when he finished the degree and then he did a year of working. When you think about being an architect, who likes that? Like, who likes the idea of being an architect? Or who likes, okay, can you picture what's the job look like?
Blueprints.
Blueprints, right? Are you do blueprints of like bathrooms, or are you do blueprints of like big, nice buildings? The fancy ones, right? If you've been to Spain, you see those buildings in Spain, those are, but you know the actual job of an architect is like, I had one of my friends, he was sent to like, this was in Spain, right? But picture it in the US. He was sent, what's the main road here? I-10? Okay, so imagine like your architect, hey, day one, and they're like, here's this road, I-440, is that the one?
Yes.
Here's this road, it's I-440, so every 6 miles there has to be a functioning light post for the whole road. So here's some gas money and make sure it's every 6 miles. So like they sent my buddy on this road that was like 1,000-mile road, you know, and then just gotta make sure that there's a light post every 6 miles. And check, if it's working, check the voltage, the crap, and now you gotta be an electrician too. And that was his job for a year. Driving across this, it's not boring. It sucks. I wanted to build like a building or something. Like, you know, I wanted to make something cool. Jobs and like things normally are not what they seem like. It's my point. And like I got a degree and I thought, well, I'm just gonna get all these job offers and all that stuff. And then it wasn't like that, you know? And sometimes, you know what the funny thing is, like your parents might expect you to have what they didn't. But it wasn't the same for them either. You know why? Because I graduated college, I came to the US, I came here with nothing. So I was absolutely broke, I had 2 suitcases, and my dad had a friend in Texas that he was able to let me stay with him. He told me I have 90 days, he was on his 5th wife, right? So he's definitely winning in life. And he told me, hey, I can let you stay at my house for 90 days. I just got married again, so I need to be with my wife. I'm like, yeah, that's been working. And I didn't say that, but anyway, he let me stay for 90 days. You can use my car, my home. You don't have to pay anything. You can eat here. I was like, yeah, super thankful for that. You know, my dad's best friend, military. So I went to his house, and I was able to, you know, get a job. I got this job. This job, what it looked like for me was a company called Fresh Success Marketing in San Antonio, Texas. Mm-hmm. And I was selling skincare and random stuff, pillows, also Adolfo Ralph Lauren suits. It was pretty cool. On the side of Costco. You ever go to Costco and somebody's like, hey, real quick, check this out? That was our job, right? And now it transformed into this. Now it's worse, but we make more money now, which is good. And I got that job, and I really liked the culture. I liked the environment. Who here likes the environment? Cool. So that's why I stayed. Because I looked at the job, I was like, well, it's entry level. That's not what I'm going to be doing forever. I understood through college that one thing I learned in college is like, okay, I'm not going to like every little subject of all the degrees. So I gotta deal with things that I don't like. That's a little bit how life kind of is, right? And I came to the job, I'm like, well, I don't like necessarily the field that much, but I do love the people. coworkers are great. They would take me to Chili's every Sunday. And I needed friends. I'm from Spain. I'm by myself here, you know? And got that job, but I also was a rookie and, you know, buying cars. They charged me 26% interest on my first car. I thought that was a great deal because I was like, it was 26% interest, less than 50. So always been really positive. And I had to go get a job at Whataburger, which is our In-N-Out, our
Cookout.
something, our cookout. And I got a job at Whataburger from 9 p.m. to 1 in the morning. I was 23 years old. Anybody's like under 25? Who's under 25? Oh wow, the majority. So I was under 25. I'm 29 now. And I went to Whataburger and I worked from 9 p.m. to 1 in the morning. They would give me $9.50 an hour. Great growth, right? Every 6 months you get a 50-cent raise. So I did the math, and for me to go from $9 an hour to $20 an hour, I would just have to work there for 45 years. And I'd be making 25 bucks an hour, you know, $1,000 a week, you know, before tax. I just need 45-year career at Whataburger. Great shifts, right? 9 p.m. to 1 in the morning. So that would give me an extra $100 a week so I could pay my car. Point being is, I stuck with this job. And a year and a half later, I had job offers from Amazon. So I'll tell you a little. My story is, hey, I was going through the field. I was good and bad at the field because I was not committed, you know. So if anybody you really want to take notes on something, I'm not planning on running a lot. But if you have a sales problem, and don't take this offensively. It's not meant to offend unless you're easily offended, right? And by the way, if I say something that offends you, it's 100% your fault. Am I allowed to say that? It's 100% your fault. You can be offended, it's okay. Like, can we agree that you're not me? Is that a good statement? Like,
yeah.
You are not me, right? So I might say something that doesn't vibe with you. Hey, that doesn't mean we can't coexist. You know, like you can say, oh, I disagree with that, but we can still, you know, we still both want to make money and get bills paid, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll explain this, but when anybody has a sales problem, it's a lack of commitment. So if you're in the field and you're like, I have a sales problem, or you have one and you keep going back to it, and you keep having the same problem over and over, it's typically a lack of commitment. And what that means, that was me for the first year in the business. Why? Because I was not like, I never thought of myself, it was a low self-image problem. I never looked at myself like, dude, Richard, you're gonna be an owner. You're gonna sit in front of the room and you're gonna actually run the office. Like I never exchanged my position mentally with the person that was in charge of that office, which was Chang for me. Well, for you guys here, it's Zach or Alexis or Danny. I never thought, I'm gonna have that job, I'm gonna be the CEO. Like I never thought, so like I know they talked about it, but I never thought like I could grow to that position because I didn't see myself. Because my parents always talked to me like, no, you should get another job, or no, you're not gonna manage anything, you can't even manage your room and things like that, right? And I was always very put down. Anybody come from a family environment that kind of like they put you down, and when you talk about stuff, they're like, you need to get away from that. You need to get away from that. It's not healthy, you know. Even whether they're right or wrong, why would you want to be hearing that? Would you agree? So I had a sales problem in my first year. Like I would do good sales or not. What do you think it was based on?
How you feeling that day?
Exactly. It was exactly how I was feeling. Like I would have good sales or bad based in my head, in my mind, based on the territory. Well, I had a good territory. Hey, listen, let me tell you the truth. There are territories that are better than others. There are territories that it's easier to sell than others. Okay? But that doesn't mean that you cannot do 3 sales on Verizon or 3 sales on Water in any territory in the world. Is it going to be easier in some places? Absolutely. But so what, right? Think about it like this. If we sent you to a territory, we send you, it has to be approved by Verizon, it has to be an actual lead, or by Water. Why would we send you there to make no money if we knew that it was not going to work? You know, oh, let's send Carlos over there so we can prove to him that his mindset sucks. That doesn't make sense. We'd rather send you there just so you can blow it up. So you make money and we make money too. You know what I mean? It's like imagine Starbucks like, hey, let's open this location in this city where no one's here, no one lives here. It doesn't make any sense. Where does Starbucks put their stores? Where everybody's in every fucking hotel there's a Starbucks now. Why? Because people use hotels, right? So this is the same. But I was so stuck that like I would have good days. Like I was not bad in the field. I had good days, and some days I would have bad days. And I would always point the finger. I would always like, hey, you know, that was my first entire year. And I learned, as an owner, that every time you have sales, it's a lack of commitment. If you made a commitment, sometimes, I'll give you a newsflash. For you to, by the way, consistency in the field will create, it'll get you closer to leave it. You're not supposed to be in the field forever. If not, we would have hired somebody with we need a field position salesperson, would probably pay you hourly so you don't leave, because people are attracted to quote unquote security, you know, and typically, isn't it, what's that code that we were talking about, Danny?
Maximum security.
Maximum security. You guys ever see like, criminals and people that go to prison? Is there different types of prison?
Yeah.
The prison that has the most security on their prisoners, aren't they the ones that offer the least amount of freedom?
Yep.
Isn't that the same with jobs?
Yeah.
So you get a job with the maximum security, which is salary. Hey, PTO, go ahead and get sick, 2 weeks a year, we got you. It's only $600 a week or whatever bullshit you make, or $700. And we'll pay you that, and we'll lose money that week that you're sick. You know, you can only get sick twice a year. And you have benefits in case you get sick. Instead of you going to the doctor and paying $100 a doctor, now you'll pay 20. And a 401k plan once you've worked 25 years. But you make $55,000 salary, right? Does that not sound like a safe job? If you break it down, it offers the least amount of freedom. So you just gotta look like, what do I actually want out of my career? So I stayed with this job because I saw Chang, my promoting owner. She was 26 years old or 28 years old when I started. And she like brought her parents from Vietnam. And I remember, her parents don't speak English, they still don't. So I remember asking her like, well, these people don't have passports or US passports or shit like that. So how did they come here? You know, she paid $150,000 worth of lawyers to get her parents through the border so that they can legally be US citizens, you know. I was pretty impressed by that. I was like, I could keep those $150,000. My parents don't have that issue, but I'd like to learn how to create that. You know what I mean? Then she paid a house for her brother. I was like, I wish I was her brother. She bought a house for her brother. Her brother's my age. Now her brother works at the airport. He makes $20 an hour at the airport, but he has a house paid. He gets to keep his $20 an hour, you know, instead of throwing it on a place to live. So anyway, going through the field, I realized it was a lack of commitment. Some days you're gonna have to you'll make 3 sales pretty easy. You might take your foot off the gas. All of these things I'm telling you because I've done it. I've done 3 and then I'm like, cool, easy. But then some other days I've had to work like 3 times as hard, literally 3 times. I've stayed in the field until 11 o'clock at night just to get 3. And people don't like that, you know what I mean? Like, we don't like that as human beings, right? Like, oh, let me put twice the effort in that guy to get half the results, right? Nobody likes that. Who does this happen in school to you? When like, did anybody go to school and like you studied a lot for something and you would get half the grades than that fucker over there that cheated? That not piss you off? Like, man. Or maybe you were the cheater or whatever, but like, remember those circumstances? Does that not suck? That's how life is. You know what I mean? Like, somebody might have a language barrier. Some of you might have a language barrier, and you might have to work twice as hard to get somebody to understand you so you can actually sell something. Hey, some of you might be like, hey, well, I'm black, or I'm white, or I'm yellow. Yeah, and like you'll see people that be like, oh, well, because I'm black, they don't want to talk to me. Like, you can use that as an excuse for the rest of your life. It's just not true. You know, we can show you somebody that's just like you that has, you know, maybe worse circumstances, and I'm not being racist. Can I say that?
Yeah.
It's just the truth. Like, I remember one guy called me that I was racist for saying that, and I'm like, I look at all my owners, like all the owners that I promoted, none of them were white. I'm like, interesting. Danny's the closest to. His name is Danny, right? It's not really. So, lack of commitment. You know, I was going in the field, I was not getting it done because I was not committed to getting it done. You know why? Because I had a job security offers. So if you're here and you're like, oh, well, I'm super committed, but you're still have your Indeed open or your ZipRecruiter open, then you're not. And that's okay. You know, I was a leader. I've been in the office for 3 months. I'll tell you a tangent story. I got a job offer for $55K for Amazon. 1 year of housing paid. They would pay my apartment for 1 year because I would have to move from San Antonio, Texas to Seattle, Washington, it's a 30-hour drive. They say, hey, Richard, we'll cover your housing here. So you'll pay the trip. They told me, hey, you'll pay the trip to come up here, but we will cover your housing. $55K a year, whatnot, and benefits. I was like, dude, I didn't even know what the benefits, I didn't even ask what his benefits mean, but just it's cool that they told me. They could have told me that the benefits is that you get a mentor or something, which is exactly the benefits you get here. It's a guide. But I just heard the word benefits, it just sounds safe and calm, you know what I mean? I said yes to the job. I was in the field, I said yes to the job. I was a leader for 3 months, or 4 months, and I said yes to the job. And then the job didn't open for another 4 months. You know, what happened in the meantime is I saw my leader got promoted from assistant manager to actually be an owner. He made $16,000 in the first 2 weeks that he was an owner. And I realized that for me, and then I went back, 16,000 every 2 weeks is 8,000 a week, which is like 400,000 a year. And this is a guy that was in the field with me. Like, he did my second interview, and he was in the field, and he got promoted. And I was like, we were close, so I was like, bro, can you show me how much money you made? Like, I wanna see it. Like, I know they say it on the meetings, but you show me the bank account, like. He was like, sure. So I was like, cool. So I 55,000. And I called Amazon back, because obviously nobody knew I had to take this job. I took this job. But I was like, I'll stay in the business until I leave, because it was like a 3-month wait. You know what I mean? To the position to open. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So and then I called him back, I'm like, hey, how much? And I did the math, I'm like, dude, this guy just made 8,000 a week. That's like 400,000 a year. So then I thought, what do I have to do to make 400,000 a year on Amazon? So I called him and like, hey, what's the pay raise? Like, I took this position, I didn't ask anything. Like, when do I make more money? They told me, cool, you make a 3% raise every year. I was like, awesome. I hung up, I started doing the math, I'm like, so that means on year 2 I would make 55,500. The next year I would make 56,670. Anyway, I would have to work 15 years to get to 70K. And I was like, dude, that's still like, this guy made 8 in 1 week, 8,000. And I was like, all right. I remember having that conversation there of commitment of like, hey, I'm going to give this a shot. I'm gonna say no to Amazon, and I'm gonna stay here, and I'm gonna run the office. And I remember making that commitment, and then I started having less days in the field that were bad. Because then I gave myself no other option. So I was like, well, I have to be good. I actually have to be good. For you guys that are like more top leaders, I actually have to be good when everyone else says it's not. And I started looking at all the people that would complain and make excuses, and I would like, cool, give me that territory. And I was scared as shit. I was like, fine. But I knew that I had to prove that to myself, and I was like, cool, let me go to the territory where the other leader complains, and I'm gonna go there. And I'm gonna high roll there. And not always I did, but a lot of times I did. And I remember having to increase my commitment and realizing like, dude, you can scratch 3 out of here. I'm just gonna have to work like you would make 9 somewhere else. But I'm gonna do 3 here. And that's okay. You know what I mean? I said no to Amazon, and I said, hey, you know what? If this doesn't work out, then I'll hopefully apply again and they'll take me. Amazon's not going anywhere, and I'm really glad I made that choice, because now I wouldn't change what I have for anything, and I make way more than that, and it's great, you know. Anyway, so just look at your parents and look at the people that my parents were asking me, hey Richard, you have a degree, why are you doing sales? Why are you going knocking on doors and or selling stuff in the stores? And they're like, Richard, but what I want for you is for you to use your degree. But you know what's so funny is my parents didn't use their degrees. But like they wanted from me something that they didn't have. You know, so you might be surrounded at home or even your friends by people that are asking you to do things they've never done. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, listen, everybody has a different path, you know? So what I started learning is like, hey, who do you associate with? And I want you to look at your last five last texts / calls. And if you look at your last 5 text messages, yeah, I gotta go. If you look at your last 5 text messages, you know, are these people that are better than you in life, or are they worse? Or are they equal? Like, if you look at your last 5 texts, is that person like somebody that clearly adds value to you? Like they're clearly at a position in life that you wouldn't mind switching with. You know, I wouldn't mind switching with Alexis. She's 26 years old. Hey, she works her ass off. She's not perfect. She's got, you know, problems in life like you all do. But she has a job that, I don't know anyone here that has a job that after 8 months you can take, your job can pay for all her life's screw ups financially with credit card debt and buying stuff. Hey, is anybody perfect in here?
No.
Hey, this was Alexis's thing, you know? She would, maybe nobody actually took the time in school, because guess what? At freaking business school, they don't teach you how to use money. Isn't that funny? They teach you how to earn money hourly and trade your hours for dollars until you die. But they don't teach you how to use money. Nobody taught her. It's not necessarily her fault. She got into a habit of probably associating with people that had things that, you know, she wanted to have too. And I've been in that position. But now she had a job where in 8 months. She started in December of last year. She was entry level December of last year at Danny's orientation. And now she runs the office. She has a team of 10 or 20. And now she paid $12,000 in debt. Is that cool? No, she probably would have liked to spend it in a car. But hey, $12,000 in debt. 26, debt free. That's cool. I think that's cool. My mom is still paying debt. And she's 50. Anybody got parents that are still paying debt? So I realized that my association is like, hey, the last 5 people is typically, or 10 people that I need to talk to, I need somebody of these people to be better than me. Because if not, you're talking to people that are worse than you or the same, so you're gonna end up at the same place, you know what I mean? So I just want you guys to notice, like, hey, you might not agree with everything Danny says, or Danny's way of running the office, maybe you would do it differently. Or maybe you don't like people yelling so much, or maybe you don't like somebody's dress code, but like, hey, would you analyze somebody's life, like results, like, hey, Danny's not driving a Lamborghini, but is that actually, do you know somebody that's smart that drives a Lamborghini?
No.
It's pretty stupid to buy a Lamborghini. It really is. You know anybody that's smart doing it? It's mostly stupid people on music videos that have to rent it, you know, because they can't afford it. Hey, who are the people you associate with will probably dictate where you end up in life. And I remember looking at Cheng, I'm like, dude, this is the only 29-year-old that I know that just paid $150,000 for who cares what? Like, she has $150,000 to spend on something, dude. I didn't. I was like looking at my groceries, and I have to buy my groceries. I have to buy the Great Value freaking brand because I couldn't get the actual Pringles because I didn't have the extra $2. Anybody like that? Like, you actually eat, everything where you sleep, where you eat, where you live, what you wear is dependent on your income? That sucks. That really sucks. Well, I'm gonna go to this other hotel because in this hotel I can't afford it. Hey, I'm gonna go roommate with 7 people because I can't afford my own room. And what is that all determined by? The choices you make and who you associate with determines how much money you make. So I stuck with this, and you know, I got to ownership, and I had a good first year. Then we went to COVID, and we rebuilt. And what I want you guys to focus, and I'll leave you guys with this, is hey, what is my actual skill set? Some of you guys are like, you have a bad day and you get depressed. Like, you have a bad day in the field, and you're sad. And I was there. I was like, oh man, I'm in my head. But you know, hey, you're supposed to build a skill. So if it was easy all day, if every day you would do 3 and 4, and that's okay. You're not building any skill. Think about the skills you have. Didn't it cost some effort? Like a little bit of effort. Look, think about yourself, like, what skills do I have? What am I good at? I'm good at drinking. You probably drank a lot, right, to get there. Hey, I'm good at studying. You probably have to study a lot, right? Hey, I'm good at, are you guys good at something? Are you good at something? Yeah, I'm good at messing up. You probably messed up a few times, right? It's okay. But hey, build a skill. The business is for you to make it a skill. Imagine this whole job was like a skill to put in your pocket. Even if you don't use this job in a year because you're like, I'm gonna do something else. That's okay. But what if you had this skill that you can manage a whole company, even if you didn't want to? Would you not like to? I'm telling you, you might leave here after 5 months, and you can write a resume that says, hey, I ran a company side by side with the CEO with less than 5 months experience. You'll put that on your resume when you leave if you don't make it to management, which is okay. So even if you're like not really sold out to do this, that's okay. Like, nobody has to be. It took me a year, like I said, to kind of like, okay, I'm gonna do this. But in the meantime, dude, build a skill. Be good at this stuff. You know, spend time. You come in here early, actually practice. You know, hey, you get a bad day in the field, and I want you to ask yourself, what is the field trying to teach me? Like, what am I supposed to be getting good at? Is it because I'm very bothered because all this rejection, all the rejection stuff? Am I getting bothered by that? Is the weather dictating how I feel about the day? You know what I mean? What am I supposed to be getting good at? And build that skill, bro, because if you're like me, then you probably won't want to leave it. You're like, yeah, this is a pretty good skill. It's actually a really high-paid skill. But if not, you'll be able to leave to another company and tell the manager, hey, I worked with Impulsive Inc. It's a small marketing company, you don't know it, but I actually ran side by side with the CEO, and we were creating about $90 million a week for Verizon. And here's that, call Danny, he's the CEO, and he'll tell you right now. I think it's pretty cool. Who thinks that's cool? So that'll be worst case scenario if you're not making it to management. So I encourage you, like, hey, whether you're out, dude, build a skill. Search for the negatives. Like, search for the things that challenge you. Search for the stuff. Don't try to walk away from it. Search for it. Like, oh shit, I got 7 no's back to back, and now I'm feeling bothered, and I wanna work less hard. Like, what am I supposed to be getting good at? Hey, I'm 18, you know you're 18? And you're like, well, I'm 18, and I just wanna drink and have sex with people. And like, and I understand that, but like, hey, what if outside of that, you also build like a massive skill that make you a millionaire by 22? I promise you, you'll be able to drink and have way more sex at 22 when you're a millionaire because of your skill. Can I say these things? I'm sorry, I should have asked.
Yeah. You can say this.
Is this kind of true? Do people kind of agree? Maybe you're like that 18-year-old that's like not like that, that's fine. Okay, good for you. Just build a skill. You know what I mean? Build a skill and just be okay with it, you know? This job is difficult. It's gonna make people quit. Every time somebody quit, I used to look at it like that's bad, that's turnover. And then I realized, I'm like, dude, if everybody should have quit my mom's job. Like, why are they there after 25 years? Is that not bad? What the fuck is somebody doing at a company for 25 years? When they're 55 went up to 58. I'm like, that's bad. How the fuck are you guys staying? Somebody leaves here, I used to look at it like it's bad. Now I look at it, I'm like, that's kind of good. I didn't leave, but that means I'm good. Because it's true. You know, how many companies are run by a 21-year-old or by a 23-year-old? And if you actually looked at the numbers and how much money we make for people or how much money these guys make, like Danny just spent $4,000 on stupid furniture. That's true. A year ago, he was like recycling sandwiches to eat because he didn't have any money. Recycling a sandwich, that's good.
That's a skill.
That's a skill. So I'll leave you guys with that. Like, hey, I want you to ask yourself, like, hey, are genuinely the 5 people on my text messages or on my last calls, are they actually better than me? If not, get at least 2. Get at least 2 people that you constantly have a dialogue that you'll be like, yeah, I wouldn't mind switching. You might not like me, like Richard, maybe he's too direct or his jokes are not funny, then that's fine. But I promise you that if you were going home today and you were doing exactly my life today, I promise you wouldn't be like disappointed. You would be like, that's not bad. Hey, maybe I would do this or that different, but that's not bad. I promise you. Same for Danny, and same for Alexis, and same for Zach. And then your sales problem, just look at it like, dude, it's a lack of commitment. Because if I told you that today, either you do 3 sales or you're fired and you have to live homeless for a week, you think you'd do 3 sales? You absolutely do 3 sales. Which means it was a commitment. It was never a territory issue. And let's say I did that and I sent you to a place where everybody's Indian and you don't speak Jack Indian. You would come up, dude, you'd be the best Indian translator in the world today, or you live homeless. That's why you see people with kids, they typically don't lose their attitude so much. If you have kids in here, you're probably like, yeah, the territory sucks, I just don't have time to complain about it because my kids need to eat. Typically, some of those things are actually helpful because it pulls you and draws you. So, anyway, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to text me. This is my number, 210-300-7746. Don't get butt hurt. Some people get butt hurt and I don't answer because I have a lot of people call me, and that's just for you to understand. And Danny, if you put Danny or Alexis or Zach on the text, I'll get to you a lot faster because I'll immediately know, okay, this is Zach's guy, this is Alexis' girl or guy. And what I want you guys to go in the field today is ask yourself, like, hey, am I building a skill? Yesterday, am I just happy because I did 2? Or am I like, can you just flip that to be like, I'm a little angry because I didn't, there's nothing harder for me today that I was like, I have to get good at. You guys think you can do that today?
Yeah.
Cool.